welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Kalu, and today I just want to give you an update on my fibroids condition. It's been nearly 5 months since I shared with you that I have fibroids, and the last video on this matter was the day before I went to see a gynecologist. So today I just want to share with you what I've learned, or what I learned from my consultation with a gynecologist, the options that I was given, what decision I've taken, and how I've actually been coping with my condition. So I recorded a video before my session with the gynecologist, which I'm going to insert here before I carry on with the rest of the video. So see you in a little bit. Hi guys, so it's 9 minutes away from my appointment with the gynecologist. I feel overwhelmed. I'm scared. I'm really scared. It's been a real struggle. I've been crying today. I'm really hoping, to get some answers, and like I mentioned last night, I'm really hoping that I don't have to go through surgery. So I'm at the hospital now. I'm just outside sitting in the car, and yeah. I'm really scared. I honestly wish I could just wake up from this bad dream and not have to go through this. Not have to wonder what the next hour will hold for me. Basically what I'm gonna be told. People are encouraging me to be strong. Honestly, right now I don't have the strength. I'm terrified. I'm really I'm scared right now, and I have no choice but to go through with this. But I'm hoping it's gonna go better than the last appointment I had, because the last doctor I saw was dismissive of my concerns, and when I told her the symptoms I had, she dismissed them. She was like, no, it has nothing to do with fibroids. And then I spoke to people that actually had fibroids, and they confirmed that those are the symptoms. So I know I'm going to see a specialist, and I'm hoping for the best this time around. But it's so scary. It's so scary, and I gotta pull myself together, walk through the hospital doors, find this doctor's consultation rooms, and have my first consultation with him. I'm crossing fingers, hoping for the best. I'll see you after my appointment. Yeah, so that was me before my appointment with the gynecologist. Terrified, like I mentioned, and just not left with much choice. I had to go through with it, so I did. So basically, this is what the gynecologist told me. Sorry, I've got my notebook, my trusted notebook here, just so I don't forget stuff, and just so that I kind of have a structure to this thing, because you know how I can be all over the place. So yeah, so I saw the gynecologist on the 16th of January 2024, and he sat down with me for the consultation, and then he took me over to the next room to do his own scan, sonar scan. So and as you know, going into this consultation, I was hoping to get some positive news, because I really didn't want to have to go through surgery, and I was hoping that I was going to be told something better, because in the month leading up to my appointment, I'd spoken to a number of friends, and they told me about the different options that they were aware of, some non-invasive procedures and that kind of thing. So I was a bit hopeful that something like that would be what the gynecologist told me. So yeah, I went into that room, spoke to him about my issues, basically what led me to his office, which I discussed in detail in my previous video. And then we went over to the next room to do my scan, and so he didn't have very good news for me, because he told me that my fibroids were bigger than what I was initially told. So what happened was, when I went to my GP, the scan that she had requested was basically measuring, or a scan of the pelvic floor, I think. Guys, I don't know what it is. Remember, I didn't do biology. Yes, the pelvic floor. And so that was the area that it focused on. And the gynecologist then did a complete scan of my uterus, and so he found out that my fibroids were actually around 18 centimeters. Like the area that they covered was around 18 centimeters, which is much bigger than what I was told, because previously I was told it was around 11 centimeters. Now it was 18 centimeters. And he also expressed concern that the lining of my uterus was very thick. So he asked if I was close to my period, and I was like, no, I kind of just had it. And so yeah, and then we went back to his desk to have a conversation, now that he knew what he was dealing with. So he basically told me that my only option was to have surgery, that my fibroids were too big to be removed any other way. So the non-invasive procedures that I had come to learn about were out of the question, because mine were too big, and the only way was to basically remove them, and you couldn't even remove them by making smaller incisions. He just had to do a C-section. And if you don't know what a C-section is, it's that operation that women have to get children. So when somebody's pregnant and maybe they have complications, then they opt for the surgery. And yeah, that's surgery. I'm gonna read here. A C-section, or cesarean delivery is used to deliver a baby through surgical incisions made in the abdomen and uterus. So, you know, I was like, that's intense. And then he explained that I would have to be booked off for 6 weeks, which is how long it takes for you to heal after the surgery. And what else? Yeah. So I asked about the other options I'd learned about, and you know, like I said, he said no, not viable for me. So I left his office after a while because there wasn't any good news for me. But he gave me a reader to take home with me so that I could have a better understanding of what I was dealing with. And that's what I will be taking you guys through today, because you know, I'm not a doctor, I didn't do no biology, so I can read all of this. So yeah, maybe let's start at the top. What are fibroids? So I've come to learn that fibroids are non-cancerous tumors that grow I'm just going to read this. Fibroids are benign tumors or non-cancerous growths arising from smooth muscle cells of the womb. They are surrounded by a thin layer of compressed collagen tissue and muscle fibers. And your doctor may also refer to fibroids as leiomyoma. Anyways, guys, it's just tumors in and around your uterus. Let me put it that way, but they're not cancerous. And they affect a lot of women, mostly women of color. I don't know what the reason is behind that, but you know, I've been doing a bit of research on the matter, and you know, lack of vitamin D comes up a lot. But guys, don't take my word for this on this. This is just something that I've come to learn. And so there are 5 types of fibroids. Sorry, the doctor did explain the type that I have, but I'm just gonna talk you through what I have here on the reader. I think what I'll do is I'll just insert this picture here so that you can see what I'm talking about. And also because I'm reading, it won't be so nice if I'm just looking down. So I'll just insert a picture of what I'm talking about, and then you can see what I'm talking about. Fibroids are classified or described according to their location. And there are 5 types or 5 locations. So you've got the intramural, which is within the muscle wall of the uterus. Then you've got submucosal, which is positioned in the lining on the womb. Then you have subserosal, situated in the outer layers of the uterus, bulging outwards towards the abdomen. Now this is the one that I have. Mine goes upwards. Then you have pedunculated fibroid. It is found outside the uterus, attached to the uterus via a thin stalk. And the last one is a cervical fibroid, located in the cervix rather than the body of the uterus. Quite a lot to take in. And this reader here says, fibroids are very common, occurring in up to 50% of women. What I've been reading says around 70%. So it's quite a number of women that actually suffer from fibroids. And any woman in their reproductive years can grow fibroids, particularly if they have not had children, but they are more common in certain ethnic groups and where there is family history of them. They are more common with increasing age, but not after menopause. There's a little bit more that I'm gonna leave out there. So yeah, like I said, you know, certain ethnic groups are more prone to to get fibroids. And yeah, then the next thing my reader speaks about is how do fibroids grow. The hormones estrogen and progesterone promote the growth of fibroids. Typically, fibroids stop growing after menopause, although hormone replacement therapy may encourage growth. I am not going to get into that because I know nothing about it. But anyways, so we've established it has to do with your hormones. And usually your doctor will talk about hormonal imbalance, that sort of thing. So then, we've spoken about the symptoms that I had. My reader also has the symptom and what causes them. I guess for somebody's benefit, I should probably just share it. So the first symptom being heavy periods with flooding and clots, prolonged bleeding between periods. The cause of this is fibroids affecting the endometrium lining of the womb, and large fibroids affecting the cavity of the uterus. Second is acute chronic pain, including during intercourse. This is caused by large fibroids, twisted fibroid if on a stalk, degeneration. So as the fibroids die, you also experience some pain. Pressure symptoms affecting the bowel, bladder, and spine. This is caused by large fibroids causing this pressure. So, as your fibroids grow, they would press against your organs, and then, that would affect your bladder, your bowel, and your spine. Infertility, although most women with fibroids do not experience any difficulty becoming pregnant, very large fibroids may block one of the fallopian tubes, distort or increase the size of the uterine cavity. I'm gonna really get into that. I think what I really want to talk about are the options that are there. I mean, the symptoms do vary from woman to woman. And you can always look at my previous video if you're really interested in the symptoms. So there are a few options available. The options you have for treating fibroids are medical, surgical, and non-surgical. So the medical are the medication you can take to control things like the pain and the bleeding. Surgical options and non-surgical options. So the first one is keyhole surgery. Is basically a surgery or an operation where the doctor makes small incisions to get through the skin and other tissue. And it's different from open surgery where normally one large cut is made. So a keyhole surgery, they make small incisions to get through the skin and tissue to get to the fibroids. It's less invasive. I thought I could have this option, but apparently not. The next one, which is C-section or myomectomy. The surgery removes fibroids. It leaves the uterus intact so that people can still get pregnant after the procedure. It helps to relieve bleeding between periods, heavy menstrual bleeding, and pelvic pain and pressure. I don't know if I mentioned this, but C-section. So basically the doctor has to cut through 7 layers of tissue to get to remove the fibroids. And this is, that's hectic. So they cut through 7 layers, and some of these layers they have to double stitch when they are done removing the fibroids, and then some they only stitch once, and then there's a layer that heals quicker, so they don't stitch that one up. It's It's a bit of a complex one. So I just wanted to mention that. 7 layers of tissue. And they apparently avoid cutting through the muscle, so they cut in between or around. Yeah, your gynecologist can explain further. Next up is, I must read this one. Next up is the hysteroscopic transcervical resection of fibroids. Guys, there's no way I was going to be able to say that on my own. This is a way of treating fibroids that occur on the inside of the uterus, in the uterine lining. I will read from my reader. This is only suitable for some submucous fibroids. The surgical technique involves removing the fibroid by shaving it away in pieces using an electric cutter via camera inserted into the womb. I don't know how to explain that. So I think I'll move on to the next one, which is a hysterectomy. Now this one is a very intense option, and please be very careful when you're being told about this, because a hysterectomy is a surgery to remove the uterus. A hysterectomy is a surgery to remove the uterus, and after this procedure you will not menstruate, you will not be able to reproduce. So yeah, you would come across doctors that would offer you this option, so please just be mindful of that. Always question when they give you these options. So my reader says, this operation removes the uterus and or cervix together with the fibroids. It is a major surgery. Usually you will have a cut on your abdomen and is only suitable for women who have completed their family and or have no desire for future fertility. Then moving on to the non-surgical procedures. The first one is uterine artery embolization. I'm gonna read this, child. It's a procedure to block the blood vessels to the uterus. It involves passing a fine catheter tube into an artery, usually in your groin. The catheter is then threaded up into the artery that carries blood to the fibroid. The artery is blocked permanently, so it will not grow again and may shrink in size. It is a minimally invasive alternative to hysterectomy or myomectomy. This procedure requires minimal or no hospital stay and a shorter recovery. So it basically blocks the blood flow to the fibroids, causing them to shrink and reduce in size. I spoke to the doctor about this because somebody had mentioned it to me, and what he told me was this procedure usually reduces the fibroids by around 30%, but mine were too big. So even reducing them by 30%, they would still be quite big, and I would still experience, my symptoms and the discomfort that I was experiencing. So he ruled that out. What he did say is, for those women that are able to go through this procedure, they can then carry on living their lives. The fibroids might not die off completely, depending on their size. So they will just live with them and, just not have the symptoms. Yeah. The next is magnetic resonance imaging guided focused ultrasound. That's a mouthful. So this one is a non-invasive thermal ablation method that uses magnetic resonance imaging to target the fibroid. Let me read from here. This involves heating up the central part of the fibroid using a focused ultrasound beam. This is only available in a few research centers. So yeah, that was my consultation with the gynecologist. I did not get the good news I was hoping to get. he told me that my only option was the surgery, which is the C-section, like I mentioned, and that, you know, the I feel some type of way every time I speak about this, because for me, I feel like, you know, this is the same surgery one would have when they're bringing a life into this world. And I think if I were in that position where I was pregnant and I had to give birth, but I had complications and it was my only option, I'd be okay with it, because you know what? I wouldn't mind the scar, because you know, it helped me bring my child into this world. But in this case, where I've struggled with coming to terms with the fact that I have fibroids, and that I must now have this highly invasive surgery to get these fibroids out of me, and then live the rest of my life with a scar. And not only that, I can only give birth through C-section after that. For me, it was just a lot to deal with. And I definitely didn't want to go through with it, because I really struggled to come to terms with my condition, honestly. I mean, as you can see, it's been almost 5 months since I last spoke on the matter. And I took this time to just try to come to terms with it, try to accept. I really struggled with the acceptance. I struggled to accept that I have fibroids, and that there isn't much I can do about it. So I spent a good amount of time just crying and, you know, being miserable. And then eventually I picked myself up and, you know, started doing a whole bunch of research. And I found that there are a lot of women, you know, like I mentioned, there are a lot of women that suffer from fibroids. And as much as a lot of women go through surgery to remove fibroids, because I think a lot of people will always say you need to get surgery to remove the fibroids. So a lot of women generally go through surgery, but there are alternatives that aren't really spoken about. And, you know, there are things that you can take, because in some traditions, they can treat these things. So there are alternative medicines out there, dietary changes that you can make, that sort of thing. So yeah, so that's what I just focused on, you know, just trying to learn about the other options, because I really did not want to go through the surgery. So I saw my cousin sometime, and she told me about something that I tried out, but I don't really want to get into that right now. I want to do a separate video of what I've been doing, but essentially I decided not to get surgery because of how I feel about the surgery, and you know, the whole healing process from there. Like, I would have to rehabilitate after that. I mentioned that I go to the gym, so that would, you know, I would have to stop, and then I would basically have to start all over again, and then I would have the scar for life. Yeah, I found ways to manage my lifestyle as it is right now. I've, you know, been taking my iron supplements religiously, so I'm not as tired as I was anymore, and I kind of feel like myself, not entirely, but a lot more like myself. So That's good. And also just really, I've been focusing on managing the symptoms that I have and speaking to more people, because so many people that aren't in the medical field actually have so much to share on the matter. And yeah, so that's really what I've been up to. I hope this was informative enough. I also don't want to make this video too long, because the previous video was like 46 minutes, and I know that a lot of people struggle with watching such long content, but I hope, you know, the information that I've shared helps somebody out there. I'll try and make another video soon to just give you an update on what I've been doing. Yes, I will just show you. I don't look I look a lot less pregnant now than I did in the previous video, so I'm just gonna get up. So this is what I look like now. I still have a bit of a belly, but as you can see, there's a big improvement there. So yeah, I just, you know, I'll take some time to just share with you what I've been doing to get to where I'm at right now. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you're not alone. We're in this together, and we're gonna get through this together. So cyber hug to you, and lots of love.